What is going on, everyone? We got a lot to talk about, and I'm not down in the mood because of the crypto world, even though we are going to talk about a potential crash coming to crypto. Now, I'm feeling like absolute dog crap right now, but you know what they say? You finish every day. When I started today, I will finish. I don't know what tomorrow's going to look like, but based off the trajectory, if you guys remember yesterday, like midstream, I was not feeling great. And today I felt like a truck has run over my head, and I cannot breathe through my nose. And for some reason, it might be allergies. I don't know. My eyes are watering or something. And that's a great representation of what crypto has felt like today. I really do think so. So I'm going to be here for the show. Who knows if tomorrow I'll still be here, but T-Shroom's going to pick up some slack for me today. No special intro. We're going to get into stuff. We're going to talk about NVIDIA. We're going to talk about crypto crashing. We're going to talk about the potential for a rally coming here very soon. I am joined by my amazing, very healthy, at least as far as he tells me, co-host, Mr. T-Shroom. T-Shroom, I hope you are feeling better than me. How are you today?
Tim, hey, how are you? I am better than I deserve. And I've got a great quote, and I'm not sure if you're going to agree with this, Tim.
Okay.
Mankind must put an end to war before war puts an end to mankind. I don't know, Tim. What do you think about that one there? JFK bringing it to us hot and heavy.
It's a great thought. I don't think that that's doable. I think that based off of human nature, we will always fight with each other. But I agree with the concept. I very much believe in the concept of leaving peaceably with all men as far as you can. But if time ever comes and push comes to shove, you got to be able to defend yourself. And sometimes wars are not unavoidable. But I do try to avoid them, my personal wars, as best I can, unless it's a war with the XRP army, in which case, I'm just kidding. We should probably stop making that joke because I don't hate XRP.
We?
They just hate me. Me as in we as in she, they as in, all right, I feel like crap. All right, let's talk. Let's talk T-Shroom. Oh, goodness, this is going to be a long show. This is going to be fun. Let's do something that we need to do more often here, T-Shroom, and let's just take a look at the markets here. I'm gonna let you kind of lead because even my brain is kind of foggy here. Not a great day except for now I'm looking at 7 days. I changed up my coin market cap thing, which, by the way, let's talk about this real quick because there's always usually not helpful stuff. If you guys are ever using coin market cap, go to customize. You can adjust what's on your screen. This newest feature I really like on my far right side. You can look at how far a coin is from being to its all-time high, which is something very interesting. You know, I like looking at that because that might give you a better idea of if you have a coin that you're looking to hold, that might factor in more to how much you want to allocate more DCA money. Like, for example, this is my peace offering, T-Shroom, with XRP Army. Look at the coin in the top 10. I was about to say top 10, but that's number 11, Dogecoin. Top 10 most overextended coin right now is XRP. So just based off that logic, if everything were to go back to all-time highs and stop, XRP would have the greatest return on your investment. So that's really interesting. Anyway, that's not what I was going about. BNB is the lone bull in the top 10. In fact, how far do we have to drop before we see another bullish coin? I mean, you have 1%, but I'm not even finding a coin. BNB looks like it's taking the cake of the top 100 and up. Of course, Sia coin has to come in here with a nice 9.32. But how about BNB? We don't talk about BNB enough. What is its chart? We'll go to TradingView later with the other stuff, but I'm just curious how its chart is looking here. If it wants to load the data, if it doesn't, I'll just cry about it. Let's go to all. Yeah, it's not terrible. Hitting definitely here more recently, going to new highs since all the way back in 2022, similar to other coins. So good for BNB. What's the biggest losers today? Well, biggest gainers, Jasmine coin. I think you had a thought about that with your bubble, didn't you, T-Shroom? Do you think this is a legit pumpage?
Look, it's not that I don't think it's a legit pumpage because I can't prove or disprove whether it is. But what I'll say is, in a sea of red, you've got BNB, Render hanging on to positivity, up almost 3%. You got SC up 9.4%. This is kind of like an outlier coin that's just getting noticed, just getting adopted, at least into the mainstream. But Jasmine's been around, right? Yeah. And Jasmine has a little bit of a reputation. And to see it on the day up 43%, you know, somebody's trying to get a little bit of attention here. And unless there's been some massive upgrade to their blockchain or just their technology, or there's been some use case that's been identified. This one has given me a big question mark rather than getting me excited. But hey, if you got Jasmine in your bag, you're probably feeling pretty good today. So congrats to you.
Yeah. Let's finish up here. Let's see what coins are in our portfolio that we're looking at. To be fair, our portfolio is looking down this morning, T-Shroom. Render is the only coin that I'm seeing anywhere close to. Yeah. When you have stable coins coming here, the only coin more bullish than a stable coin in our portfolio we built is Render. So it's a red day because when I hit this one, Optimism is down, Say is down, Arweave, Matic is down. I mean, there's going to be a lot down. Pretty much everything is down in our portfolio. That's okay, though. You have to have some red days to appreciate the bullish ones. You have to have sick days to appreciate your health. I am grateful for the fact that I'm not dead right now, but I am not grateful for the fact that my head feels like 1,000 pounds. T-Shirt, we're going to talk today about crypto. There is an article coming out. We'll read this in a little bit, but there's an article talking about NVIDIA. And if you guys have not seen an NVIDIA chart recently, let's take a look there because this might be confusing to you guys. Like, why are they talking about NVIDIA crashing? NVIDIA is skyrocketing. The last couple of days it's pulling back here, but we have reports coming out this evening, correct, T-Shroom?
That's correct, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So right at the end of the show, we might as well run a little long to see if we can get a print, but it may not print in time.
Well, the reason we bring this up, and I'm spoiling the article, but we'll go into more detail, is because there are potential rumblings that NVIDIA's bullish anticipation might be disappointed. And if NVIDIA gets disappointed and we see money flow out of a stock like NVIDIA, which is, of course, a tech stock, could we also see that punish Bitcoin and the crypto market? So that's going to be really big to see here later on, just probably a little over an hour from now. But let's take a look at some other coins here. If the numbers are good, everything is going to be fine. But that is something to be prepared for. And the reason why that's significant is when you take a look at even like Bitcoin, and we'll look at a couple alts here, we are seeing, let's go to smaller time frames here. We are seeing breaking happen. Now, Bitcoin's not as bad as alts. I mentioned this yesterday, but Bitcoin continuing to hold. Let's put a flat line, horizontal line right here. This seems to be the number to break. After breaking through right here about 50,653, we have now bounced off of it 3 different days. That has held up as strong support, but you can see we are flirting with it. If we lose it, and we do here on the daily chart, we are under a sell order that has the take profit. Lux ALGO has been calling this amazingly.
It's the 4-hour chart.
Take profit. Here on did I said daily? Okay, right. Good catch there, T-Shirt. Thank you for it.
Carry on.
Yeah. Take profit sitting down at 50,000, but of course it gets down below it. And of course we have this serious order block we have been discussing coming in all the way down at $48,626, give or take. So we are kind of at make it or break it time for Bitcoin. If we look at our oscillators, let's see what they're saying here. Now on the 4-hour chart, we did get a green reversal dot that just came in, but we're under bearish momentum. You guys see it here on our oscillator in 2 different locations, and the money flow is negative below that bearish threshold. So while there's a chance that we could be rounding off, you do see the oscillator rounding. The RSI is not screaming oversold. Even though we have a green reversal dot, we have almost nothing else telling us it's time to reverse. In fact, we have take profit sitting a little bit lower than this. So the 4-hour chart not looking good, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what the daily chart in a longer time frame is saying. You don't like that, T-Show. We are looking very ugly. We're not technically overbought, but we were overbought here at the top, and it's just cooled off. Look at that MACD. That is a negative-looking MACD right there. And then, of course, our Lux ALGO oscillator. The money flow is still positive, but that is flat money flow. And we do have a red reversal, bearish dot. The minute this money flow in the next couple of days crosses below that threshold, that bullish threshold, that would put us into a spot where on the daily chart, that would look like a good buy. So this is definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. Levels here on the daily chart, even kind of wrapping up and kind of that 4-hour chart similar. We do have our Neo Cloud and our stop loss on this one coming in here, telling us, look at this angle right here. Some of you might be wondering and saying, Tim, isn't their take profit way higher? Well, yes, if the bulls turn around and go to the upside, we could go out maybe to 57. We've talked about that level on fixed range volume, but I want you to know that take profit has moved. In fact, when this printed here just a couple of weeks ago, this was the take profit level. So we hit it perfectly. Now, because of the bullish momentum, it reprinted a little bit higher, but I'm not going to be surprised if we don't get to that take profit. I would put it more in a case of coming back down to our stop loss. And that stop loss, of course, is below 50,000, around that $48,000 level we did discuss. I want to remind you guys also, this is something we have talked about on this channel for a while. The $53,000 mark, I want to bring it back up. And this is not I told you so, more so a reminder and to help you guys when you're doing your technical analysis to remember using fixed range volume, look for these gaps. I told you guys 53 could be a level of resistance to keep an eye on. And sure enough, here on Coinbase, when you look at this white candle here yesterday, what was the exact top level? 53000.000. It hit our target to the penny and rejected right there. Also, you'll see here, we do have a little bit of a broadening wedge coming in here. This is a megaphone pattern. Now, this is one that I think potentially long-term could go bullish, but as you can see, if we stay in this formation for a while, we could drop very, very far. In fact, getting back down below 40, potentially coming in down back towards a support level we've been talking about for a while right here, about 34,000. We look at our liquidations here. Let's take a look. I'm looking at Solana this morning. If you guys did not see, don't share my screen anymore. I got to sign into this real quick, T-shirt. I don't want people seeing all my passwords and everything. But if you guys watch my noon video about Solana, it's 123 ABC. T-Shroom doesn't know that, but now he does. Don't try that at home. Go watch the Solana video. We talked about a potential short squeeze coming after dumpage, but here on Bitcoin, I'm good to go. You can share my screen once again. Take a look here, 7 days, where the heavy liquidations are. Yes, we have some above 53,000. We have a nice little pocket right here, dropping us below 40, and then another one that picks up that could even, I know 48 was one we talked about, but this could drag us even further down towards 46. Last reason, I'm about to throw it over to T-Shroom to take a large portion of the show and lead everything. Another reason to potentially bearish, and this will sound a little funny, but the Dixie is also turning over. And traditionally, you would say, hey, shouldn't that be bullish for crypto? Shouldn't that be bullish for Bitcoin? Well, not necessarily in the short term. In fact, if you look at this chart recently, we've been rallying here in the Dixie since back in December. Bitcoin has actually been moving, especially the last 2 weeks, been moving in unison with the Dixie charts. So a cool off here on the Dixie actually could come in with a cool off on Bitcoin and crypto as well. But T-Shroom, we'll talk more charts here a little bit later. I'm going to throw it over to you. What are your thoughts about the market as a whole? What's happening in the news? Take it away.
Absolutely. I did a great job, Tim. I think you're feeling like maybe 50, 70%. Let's give it up for Tim. Smash the like button, guys. Tim is.
I'm gonna go lay fetal position in the corner.
I was like, Tim, just sit this one out. You know, let me just take it. And he was like, T-Shroom, if you start the day, you finish it. And I said, aye, Captain. I also said this morning that we might see a dump in Bitcoin. So far, that call has been 100% correct. You may characterize it as something other than a dump, right? But, you know, I'm looking out for you on the 9 a.m. stream. If you're not tuning into those, you are missing out. We have a lot of fun here at 3 p.m., but at 9 a.m., we are just getting started on the trading day. So definitely go ahead and check that out. One of the things that I pointed out this morning was actually Bitcoin on the 2-hour. So I almost never look at the 2-hour, but I happen to go check it out, and we have a candle body close lower than back here on February 17th. So that is a lower low there for Bitcoin. And guys, I want to just zoom out. Tim, you asked about my concept of the market right now. It's bearish, right? Everything pretty much everything in the technicals. Not on every time frame, but in the technicals, it's very bearish, right?
Yeah.
However, this is a time, we talked about it, I think we talked about it Saturday, if not more recently. This is a time where the technicals sometimes can be non-reflective of what is actually going to happen. And that is because Bitcoin is very, very bullish. We're seeing massive, unprecedented inflows into the ETFs for Bitcoin, which we also know does not translate into one-to-one buying for Bitcoin price. But this is not an asset to bet heavily against. This is not an asset to bet against passively. If you're an experienced short seller, you know, you come from Forex, you come from stocks, you traded options, you traded futures, whatever it is, you know, you need to gauge your confidence level in shorting this market, because right now, this looks like an obvious short, right? A test lower, the wicks are lower, the candle bodies are lower, right? Bitcoin is likely to go lower from here. from the technical analysis standpoint, but I am not confident in my ability to short an asset like this, especially without a stop loss. So that's just kind of my view of the market. It's like it looked like it's screaming some obvious bearishness right now, but I wouldn't put it past Bitcoin to say, who cares? Let's go to 55 over the weekend, right? So you just got to be careful. That's my overall view. This is kind of a hodler's paradise, right? There's some kind of storm clouds kind of brewing on the horizon for crypto, for maybe for stocks as well. We're going to get to that in the NVIDIA headline here in just a second, right? But the good thing about being a hodler is that you're in a nice, safe shelter if you've got Bitcoin, especially if you've got it on a cold wallet. You're feeling good, right? You've built a solid foundation, understanding and conviction in the asset of Bitcoin, and you're feeling good. Just because it looks like there might be a correction, right? And influencers and YouTubers and your favorite folks, analysts are saying there's going to be a pullback, that doesn't scare you, right? Because you're just going to buy more, right? And your conviction in Bitcoin hasn't changed. The thesis of why you bought Bitcoin hasn't changed. Remember your why, folks, because it's going to be your why that gets you through the hardest parts of investing and trading. And look, if you're sitting here like, T-Shroom, shut up, bro. I'm going to short the crap out of this. I know exactly the levels that Bitcoin's about to go to. Good for you. Go for it. Just please keep your stop losses tight and be careful. But hey, if you make a little money, come back and write a super chat and tell me how much money you made. So Tim, let's go ahead. I'm ready to go ahead and jump into the news here. Let's get to that NVIDIA news. NVIDIA hotly anticipated earnings may trigger Bitcoin and crypto correction, analysts are saying. And I must say, the CoinDesk did a great job with this article. It's very concise and to the point. A key event today that could trigger a wider correction is NVIDIA earnings, which will be released after the U.S. close here at 4:01 Eastern Standard Time. Should be able to get an update on how NVIDIA closes. We'll be trying to bring that to you. Depends on how well they publish that, though. QCP wrote in a note, as a major part of the S&P 500 index, NVIDIA's performance could set the tone for U.S. equities in the near term. NVIDIA, the GPU giant that designs chips necessary for the AI revolution, is due to see their earnings today, of course. NVIDIA is currently trading at a 90x PE in Q4 earnings, expected to have been adjusted higher recently. Now, for context, Amazon is currently trading at 52 multiple of their PE, and Tesla is currently trading at 57, right? So what does this mean? If you've never traded stocks before, you probably have no idea what a P to E ratio is. It's a price to earnings ratio, and all it means is that the market is bidding it higher, finds a lot of promise, finds a lot of potential earnings, potential growth in the underlying stock, right? In the underlying business model. So NVIDIA has one of the highest P/E ratios because there's just so much promise for it. It's literally printing the gold of the future, right? GPUs that can do crypto mining and that can be used for AI businesses and that can be used for gaming, all of which are high demand industries that need NVIDIA to keep producing those chips. Now, even with that high multiple, with such a high valuation, the margin of error is very slim. At these valuation multiples and high expectations on earnings, any disappointment could see a sell-off. That would certainly put a drag on U.S. equities and crypto prices as well. Now, how much of this is FUD? Probably a good amount, right? These articles are being printed out there to try and get people to buy, to sell, right? But I would say this is a significant event. It's not quite. I would put this as like probably 3 or 4 clicks less important than a Fed announcement, right? Especially a hotly anticipated one, right? But it's more important than just like something run of the mill, right? Like in Microsoft's earnings. There's a reason we don't really cover every earnings of every major corporation. This one is being covered because it's important, right? And it has such a high PE. If there is a disappointment here, this could reset the tone for risk markets. And remember, just because you're in Bitcoin and you're in crypto all the time, you're thinking about it, you're in the communities chatting with people, there is a large percentage of the investment dollars that are in crypto that are from Wall Street and people who do not watch YouTube, people who do not sit in Discord all day, people who do not go on Twitter other than to follow Jim Cramer, right? And then when they hear NVIDIA disappoints their earnings, they're like, oh, I'm pulling out of Bitcoin, right? I'm pulling out of Cardano, I'm pulling out of Ethereum, just because it's risk. They see a bad thing in the market, They remove risk. That's how they operate. Has nothing. They're not convicted in Bitcoin. They're just doing it because all their frat bros are doing it, right? So hopefully that makes sense for you. We'll move along. We got a soundbite here, Tim, and it's an exciting one. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's take a listen.
I teased Bitcoin because I have no idea. I don't know what it's trading on. Maybe, I don't know what you think it's trading on now. The ETF, obviously, that was something. Usually it likes the Fed to ease, so you just said some positive things about that maybe for more printing. But I said, and I was just throwing out a number. We're at 50. I said, what you said it might be strong for the remainder of the year.
Yes.
I said 75. What did you say to me?
I think it's, could be as high as 150,000 this year.
So double what I thought was.
Yeah.
150,000. So we're tripling at this point.
Yeah, because you've got demand improving with the ETF, and you have the supply shrinking with the halvening. And if monetary policy eases, which we expect, that's supportive of risk assets. And Bitcoin's holding up. I mean, that's another reason why I don't think a drawdown's going to start that soon. I mean, Bitcoin's been rallying the last couple weeks.
Wow.
Awkward pause.
Take that to the bank.
Those are big numbers. I don't know anymore.
And are you in, hold on, let me just go back. Are you in the camp of this is like a $500,000 valued?
Over the next...
Over 5 years, are you?
Yeah, it is sound money. And I think it's proving to be useful. And
Proving to be useful how?
Well,
it's very useful if you're an investor right now.
Yes, it's been a great store value. It's been a good risk asset. It's also incredibly secure. There hasn't been a single fraudulent entry on the blockchain since inception. I don't think any bank can say that's true of their P&L and accounting. 6% of banking transactions are suspicious, 0% on the Bitcoin.
There you go. So nothing more than a bunch of bullishness, right? But yet again, another kind of grilling about the fundamentals of Bitcoin on mainstream. Doesn't get much more mainstream than CNBC's, primetime trading television right there. So, you got a good, strong defense there from someone who's got a lot of conviction in Bitcoin. Tom Lee, he's the Fundstrat managing partner. He's not just somebody off the street, right? He's got a lot of credibility with the viewers of CNBC, and he's somebody who he's just telling it how it is. 150,000 could be a price that we see for Bitcoin in 2024. And Tim, just right off the bat, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm actually a little surprised he's allowed to say what he thinks the price would be. And I'll explain why that is. What is the name of the other guy? That guy has popped up in a couple clips, and I feel like that guy is extremely intelligent. He's done his research.
You're talking about the gentleman who gave the price prediction?
75. The guy that said 75. I don't know his name.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get that. Keep going.
I like it better. What I will say is if we do hit 150, as Tom Lee is suggesting, do not be surprised if by the end of 2025, we have hit, at least touched, if not currently are sitting at, somewhere closer to, I would say at least 300, if not pushing closer to 500. I don't know that's going to happen. Joe Kernan. All right, let's remember Joe Kernan. I like Joe Kernan. Joe Kernan's a solid guy in my book.
Right, so he's gone back and forth with other guests that they've had in the past.
Yes.
He's been a holder since I want to say like 2018. So
and he has a very healthy. I feel like he has a very healthy, not overly bullish, but he's not bearish. He knows he understands the fundamentals of Bitcoin. He understands the value proposition. Let me get to why Tom Lee, I'm surprised he's allowed to give an answer about that number, and why I do not necessarily just take what Tom Lee's saying as gospel when it comes to Bitcoin price. Tom Lee, for those who don't know, used to help develop. He's developed a couple. He was a part of a couple different trading exchanges, right? If you build a trading exchange, what is your motivation? You want to get as many people in there buying and selling as possible. You want people trading left and right. Well, of course, you want to tell people, oh, yeah, get in there, and it's really bullish. Long it. Yeah, get in there and buy it. He's not working for that anymore. He's sold his positions, but now he's working for Fundstrat. But effectively, what does Fundstrat do? It helps people invest in their future. They build IRAs. They look for your future. If he is trying to push and get his clients to buy Bitcoin, of course he's going to tell them something like, guys, buy in right now. We could triple your money by the end of the year. Now, is it possible that it could happen? Yeah, it's possible. I'm not arguing that point. It's just one of those things. It's like can you take the word of a person who has personal motivation to say price go high and then use that as your evidence to be like, well, Tom Lee's really bullish, so we should be bullish too? It's like, well, that's not the best case. And again, I'm not saying 150 is not possible. It is high in my book, but that's not the person who I'm listening to say it's going to go to 150. I mean, if Peter Schiff came out and said it's going to 3,000, or if Gary Gensler came out and said it's going to 3,000, are we going to use that as any type of actual evidence? No, because these are people that are biased. They want if JP Morgan, if Jamie Dimon came out and said, yeah, we're estimating Bitcoin's going to drop to $10,000, we wouldn't take him seriously because he is motivated financially for the price to go down. He does not want people going in and getting away from the traditional banking system. That's why I think it's on the flip side, though, with Tom Lee, super bullish person who has a motivation in business for people to think that the price will go up. I don't trust his opinion on what price predictions should look like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I agree with that. Definitely don't just take these analysts, don't take anybody's word on any subject as the gospel, because, there's always going to be incentives. If you start to look at the world through the lens of incentives, why do people make the decisions that they make? What are the carrots being dangled in front of them, right, to incentivize the behavior that they exhibit? And what are the sticks that keep them from doing things, right, that maybe other people, other organizations are doing, right? What are those things? And if you look at life through the lens of incentives, it can be very clarifying. Before we get to the next story here, I want to read a couple of awesome chats here. The first one from D-Bow Hype.
Love it.
Hi, Investing Bros. You're amazing.
D-Bow Hype.
And I love your content. AI cryptocurrency render could change the world forever and could have limitless potential to build wealth. You are amazing, by the way. So definitely really appreciate that. There's some clear incentives.
I don't have a problem. Yeah, clearly there's a comment in there he wants to get your eyes somewhere, but I like render, so I don't have a problem with that.
An excellent example.
Thank you for giving us so many compliments. I love it.
All right, Gerardo Mana said, I started the stream from the beginning, but I can definitely relate to the congestion and watery eyes. It's been horrible. I wonder what it is. Are you pregnant,
I put it in chat. Yeah, probably, honestly. If you
pregnant with potential.
No. So Brody's he literally here on the 23rd will turn 9 months. So I have a newborn. Love him. He is awesome. The dude is a germ factory. He has had a stuffy nose and a cough for like 3 weeks, which is pretty normal at that age. There's moments where Taylor freaks out, but I'm like, he has high energy. He's not like dying or anything. So my thought is this is another Brody attack, trying to bring me down so he can spend more time with his dad at home. Who knows? He might win tomorrow based off how I'm feeling at the moment. We'll have to see. Zach Martin says Tim is allergic to red days. Yeah, I need to go on vacation because when I go on vacation, a lot more green days come. That's a good little
absolutely
quip right there.
Tim, here's a nice little quote here from Crypto Dave. Said, once we break all-time high, I think a ton of investors will pile in, assuming we are going to the moon. That said, going to be a lot of sell orders at 100K. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's some levels before that, though. I mean, 85 is going to be significant. I think 75 is going to be significant. I think 85 will be significant. Of course, anytime you have a rounded $10,000 number, so 70,000, 80,000, 90,000, those will all have their moments. Do not be surprised, though, to see when we hit 69,000. Like, I don't think we'll need to test 70 to be like the level. Don't be surprised to see a little strong rejection at 69. What's the exact high? Let's look at this exact number. I don't want to misquote it. The exact high is that's not the right one. Come on now. Let's get the right one. 60. Wow, this is the wrong chart. Let's go to Coinbase. I was looking at the overall one, but that the exchange that takes it all the average of exchanges. But let's go with Coinbase. Coinbase is a good enough exchange to get its number. 69,000 on the dot. That's crazy. I know other exchanges went a little higher than that. Anyway, that was a lot of time to explain. Historically, we do see when price gets back to previous all-time high, you don't just blast through it. If you go back to my screen here, take a look. We wrestled with the all-time high actually for a couple of weeks here after touching it. We didn't actually break through it. After touching it, we didn't break through it for 3 weeks. So there'll be some rejection right there, be a pullback. You also saw that happen back here. Look at this right here. Boom. And we went a little higher than it. So maybe we do touch 70,000. But notice when we get to that all-time high level, we rejected, had a nice pullback back here in March of 2017. And then we rallied through and got explosive. So that's what we've actually seen happen both times now. Do not be surprised to see a bounce off of 69,000. Maybe we hit 70,000 just for kicks and giggles of 70000. But once it breaks it cleanly on that renewed push, that is when fireworks will go nuts. We've seen that historically. And that is where I'm sitting here saying, like, when do we actually hit new all-time highs? Do we hit those new all-time highs sometime early summer? Are we waiting until closer to fall? A big question will be how far, if we keep pulling back the way we're pulling back right now, which we're not, it's not a significant pullback. If we see lower than 50,000, how low do we actually go? Do we just go to 46 or 48? Do we drop down to 34? Do we drop to 32? That will help us determine what happens. But if we can't get to those lower levels before the halving, I'm not going to be surprised, T-Shroom, to see us actually hit new all-time highs sometime. We'll have a pullback after the halving, so I'm not worried about that. But maybe sometime July, August. And if that happens, again, maybe we hit it in August, we reject, but that would put us at explosive action sometime October, November, in which case we could end the year over 100K. But I'll have to see how the rest of the year plays out before I can make that strong opinion.
Gotcha. That's some good analysis there, Tim. I think we're going to be surprised. I mean, I covered it this morning. There is a potential that we are kind of post bottoming. You know, there's not going to be a whole lot more. You know, even in 45,000. You know, much less 32,000. For us to see those prices again. You know, and what we talked about this morning was the reality that the market depth, which we don't talk about a whole lot, which the order book depth is starting to arrange itself in such a way that Bitcoin is just kind of parked because of the mechanics of the market and how they work. When you get a deeper depth chart, you start to actually kind of park that asset, and it's harder for it to move up and down until there's a new catalyst. Now, you know, that could potentially just as quickly go away, and that depth could get wiped. But right now, that's kind of what's trending towards having folks think that where we are now, you know, these levels that we're right now, like 51,000 up to 52,000, 52.3, that could be a trend that we're in for quite some time until that buy thesis, you know, that supply shock kicks in. Whether that's going to be before the halving or after the halving, obviously that's kind of the $1 million question. So let's keep moving here. We got actually a pretty interesting story here, Tim. I'm excited to get your take. This is a tweet from Eric Bulkanis, said, Ladin Stewart, who's not a name that I've heard before. Ladin's is a new name. Going to probably be hearing a lot more about him. Ladin Stewart.
Maybe it's Layden Stewart?
Yeah, maybe. Who led the SEC's crypto unit in actions against crypto, Coinbase and Ripple. So he's leaving the regulator to join White and Case, which of course is an LLP. It's a law firm in the white collar division to lead Crypto Group. This firm has advised Fidelity in the Bitcoin ETF. So what is this? This is one of the chivalrous knights leaving the castle, right, defying the king, saying, "Hey, king, served you well. 8 years apparently is his tenure there at the SEC. I'm going to go fight for another kingdom, right? I'm going to go fight for the private sector."
Honestly, man, if I was a lawyer, I'd want to leave to go to a firm where I'd actually win a case or two eventually as well. You know, so can't blame the guy.
I hope that the SEC has some aloe for that burn, Tim. Man,
they can give some to me because aloe has healing principles as well and properties. I don't know why I said principles, properties.
It's okay, Tim.
I could use some aloe right now.
We're all rooting for you. Let's keep moving here. We've got some interesting news from the Asian front. We're going to be bringing that. A couple of stories. Singapore and China to launch CBDC pilot for cross-border payment. I believe this has already happened with the United States. The Bank of Singapore has kind of been the favorite to test out your CBDC pilot, and so now they're going for it with China. So Beijing, Singapore teaming up. Singapore, you may not know, Singapore is its own country. It's not like Hong Kong where it has some kind of affiliation with China. Singapore is its own very own country, and they get to make their own laws. And they're a finance hub. In fact, they are I believe they're in the top 10 projected to be a crypto hub, right? You got Dubai, Miami, the UK, Germany. You have a lot of Japan and Singapore. There's a lot that are vying to be the hub for crypto. Of course, I retain the position that New York, if it wanted to, or London, but New York could probably snap its fingers and become the crypto hub of the world. All they have to do is pass some common sense legislation. But I don't know that New York has done that in many years. So we'll see.
Don't count on it.
Moving on here, guys. We're going to stay in Asia. Hong Kong lays out provisional guidance for crypto custody. So this is actually pretty interesting. It is regulation. So, the hard libertarians are going to look at this and be like, grr. But hey, it's happening in communist China, so it's not like you should be surprised. The document asking institutions to commit to comprehensive risk assessments and allocate sufficient resources for proper governance and blah, 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 blah. It's regulation. They're trying to sorry, Tim. They're trying to regulate crypto in Hong Kong, and ultimately, this is a movement in the right direction, in my opinion, because this is just signaling to the market that they're not moving towards banning; they're moving towards regulating, and that is generally good. Not going to go into too much more detail because you probably don't own a crypto exchange in Hong Kong, so you probably don't know.
What if I did though? What if I did own that? You don't know what I'm doing with my money. Shout out to Sawtooth Hiker, who just became a bro in the membership category. Thank you so much, Sawtooth Hiker. I've seen your name around for a while, and I think you've been a member before. I think this might be him coming back, but I love to see it.
Big Sawtooth. That's what's up. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, that's interesting, Sawtooth. Are you a hiking influencer? Because I actually had a meeting yesterday with a YouTube producer. He works with just hiking channels, so I'm really interested. Is that kind of where this is going here? Because I'm interested.
Hey, I mean, he has. Listen, share my screen. Let's do this real quick. This is what you get if you sign up and you join membership. We'll share your page if you make some.
There you go.
Sawtooth Hiker. He is 17 subscribers. Guess what?
Bang, bang.
He has 18.
Just got one more
now. And then he'll get more because I have to change my other one as well. But the bros are now subscribers. And yeah, 2-night excursion in Baco. Oh, that'd be fun. Baco, I don't know what that. Hell roaring to. There's some good stuff in here. Looks good.
Was that title say Cardano to $3 before the halving?
No, I don't think that's what it says.
Sawtooth Hiker.
Shout out to Sawtooth Hiker.
I love that banner.
He looks like he's ready to go too. I mean, this Sawtooth, he's in shape, man.
What I will say is that those socks are a little bit weak sauce. I would have liked to have seen a little bit higher socks for a good hike.
No, man. No, I actually completely disagree. You got to show off the calves. The calves are a feature that have to be shown off. If you got them, you got to flaunt them. And to be fair, T-Shroom and I, this is going to sound braggadocious, but I'm going to brag on you, T-Shroom, because I always thought that I actually had pretty decent calves. T-Shroom's got himself a nice set of baby cows on his legs.
I appreciate that, Tim.
We might need to change ourselves to the calf bros.
I appreciate that.
And then Sawtooth Hiker can be a part of the group.
I'll tell you what, man, that really goes a long way because my self-esteem has been just at an all-time low. And
I felt it.
Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate that. Sawtooth Hiker for the win. If you become a bro, you get 3-4 minutes of just comedic, non-sarcastic riffing. We love it. Something that might not be loved by Do Kwon or Do Kwon, his twin, is that Montenegro court has approved Do Kwon's extradition to the United States of America. That is Big Rufsky. His extradition had already been approved to South Korea, where they want his head to roll, not literally. But now it looks like he's going to come to the United States and face financial-related charges as well. So Do Kwon, famously the leader over there at Terraform Labs, which was kind of the mastermind behind Terra Luna, the coin, and also its affiliated coin. So now that saga is finally reaching its next chapter. Do Kwon, of course, he was for a long time just on the loose. People were reporting on his address, sending funds and receiving funds, but nobody knew where he was. And then he showed up in Montenegro, and Montenegro then received many letters from South Korea and the United States saying, hey, this guy is bad news, and we need him to come back to our shores so that he can face trial, so that we can take steps to return funds to those who were defrauded by the man, allegedly. So we'll keep look. This is a good time to kind of pause and give you guys a little bit of a look up to how much news you're not getting fed. I've filtered probably 20 to 30 Do Kwon headlines in the last like month. There's just the media cannot get enough of him. He's making it through the filter today because it's a U.S. extradition. Like that's kind of been a big awaited decision, but like I don't know. I don't know who these people are who care so much about Do Kwon's situation. Same for SBF. It's like these are villains. You know, I think some people just revel in the fact that these villains are getting, coming to justice, and I get that. But at the end of the day, I'm in crypto to make money. I'm not in crypto to learn about whether or not people are going to jail or not, or how hard they're going to jail. Don't get me wrong. I like to laugh at a meme or two when it comes to SBF. But anyway, hope you all realize the amount of complete BS that I have to look at every single day to try to find the news gems to bring to you all that are actually going to affect your crypto portfolio. So that's what we do here at the Investing Bros. That's why a lot of folks are subscribed, because they get it what they need, right? They don't get a bunch of fluff.
Yeah, and you have fun while you do it. That's the other thing. That is our goal. Is we want to be the most fun educational crypto channel where you come hang out. I don't drink. T-Shroom, do you drink?
Well, you got to stay hydrated. Drinking right now.
My thought is like, man, like I want people to walk away from here and say, you know what, that Tim and T-Shroom guy, they're pretty cool. I want to crack open a beer and just share it with Tim and T-Shroom. I'll tell you, because Irish ciders come back. A beer, yeah. Well, human beings drink, T-Shroom. It's part of survival. I was specifically talking about alcohol. And if you don't drink alcohol, I don't drink alcohol either.
Look at my shirt. I got a Yingling shirt on.
Yeah,
so I
that's
drink.
why I knew it was a. You know what? It was a rhetorical question, T-Shroom, because I already knew that you drink.
We're both proud members of the Hops community. We are.
Shout out
brewery
to the
license NFTs of the Hops community. So Tim may not drink alcohol, but culturally he's a drinker. Culturally he is one with the community of those who consume alcohol.
I eat sandwiches, and sandwiches are used bread, and bread is made from wheat, also the source of a beer. So I eat beer in a non-fermented way.
That's true. There was a point, this might make it into the factoids one day, but there was a point in Germany where children and adults were drinking more alcohol than they were, like more beer than they were water, because the water was contaminated with plagues. Yeah. And so alcohol, beer was...
Dude, no, like in the Bible, they drank wine throughout the whole process because it was the way to actually cleanse it, because the water was dirty. Yeah, so
absolutely. Which brings us to our new partnership with... Insert your favorite wine joke here that totally failed. Tim, I've got a factoid for you, and it's a good one. And it's brought to you by Decrypted.tax. Now, tax season is upon us. I am starting to feel the heat. I've been going back and forth with the pros over at Decrypted.tax saying, let's get it in. I want to get my refund, or I want to see how much I owe. And they're like, T-Shroom, you're probably not going to owe much, because over here at the Tax Pro Center, Decrypted.tax, we're going to be able to get you every single bit of savings that you can possibly get. And you might be thinking, well, how can I take advantage of this? You not only should, but you can over at Decrypted.tax. You can get 25% off when you mention that the bros sent you to sign up for your 60-minute free consultation. Not that you should take that long, but head on over to Decrypted.tax to start your tax season off right. Get ahead of it. Quit putting it off, because we know we got to pay our taxes at the end of the day if you live in the United States. Decrypted.tax, they can also set you up with some pros if you live in Mexico or Canada or another country. They've got a pretty wide international network. Tim, when was the first nuclear bomb tested in New Mexico? Was it spring 1943, fall 1945, summer 1945, summer 1943?
This does not help. Schmoot. You know what's crazy? I even just watched, probably 2 or 3 months ago, just watched Oppenheimer, but I did not pay attention to the dates.
Still need to see it.
I want to say it was in 43. Shout out to Sawtooth Hiker with a $25 super chat saying, Ernest and Lincoln at Decrypted Tax are amazing human beings, and they will help you. Okay, looks like we have ourselves a customer. Yeah, they honestly, yes, Sweet. They're a partner of the channel, and when you use their services, you help us. But even if he wasn't like a sponsor of the channel, Ernest is a great guy. He knows what he's doing. He really is trying to help every one of you. If you have any doubts or any questions about your taxes, just get that 60-minute call. Ernest is he's the man. He actually, fun fact, I think he's going to be coming on Friday. I think we're going to get the Ernest interview on Friday, which will be fun.
Super
anyway,
cool.
back to the factoid of the day. I want to say 43.
Okay.
I want to say it was in 43. And let's go summer just because it's a little later. I don't know. Let's go D, summer of 43.
He's locking it in, folks. He's going D, summer of 43.
It rhymes too.
And Tim, you were so close. It's summer of 1945.
2 years.
So you
man.
got the season right, but not the year. The first atomic.
They dropped it that quickly after testing it. Dang.
The first
I would've
atomic
thought they
weapons
would've-
tested was conducted in New Mexico on July 16th, 1945, during the Manhattan Project, and given the code name Trinity. So there you go.
Yep.
Yep, that was a quick turnaround for the Manhattan Project team, which included Albert Einstein and
did.
Oppenheimer, I assume. I haven't seen the movie. But.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Go watch the movie. It's not a kid-friendly movie, so, get a babysitter if you have kids. Take your significant other out to your couch because it's now on movies and DVDs and online, so you don't need to go to the theater for it anymore. But it's good. It's a good one.
Oppenheimer, the official movie of the investing bros. Not really. Not at all. Yeah. But it looks pretty cool, and I haven't seen it yet. I heard it was really long and that there was a lot of Barbie references. Am I getting that right?
I don't think so, no. It was long, but not the Barbie part. I don't think so.
I don't know why that's implanted in my head, incepted into my head, one might say. All right, well, we're getting close here to the earnings for NVIDIA. We'll continue to watch that.
I think someone said it might be closer to 5 o'clock, so I don't know if we're still going to be live when they actually. We'll go a little bit past 4, so we'll see. But it is time to definitely get into some Q&A, and you know what? Again, we usually do charts, and we can do charts if you guys want to do charts, but Q&A can be anything. We can talk about news. You can give us your opinions. We'll read your guys' opinions on what you think the market's doing. We also can answer personal questions, and as many as are directed towards T-Shroom would be amazing.
Yes. Any personal questions for T-Shroom? Yes. What kind of lipstick do I wear? What kind of conditioner do I use? Anything like that. Just let me know. Let's go ahead and check in on Coinbase. This is a stock that I've been kind of considering maybe if I should go ahead and give it a little bit of a sell because, and you might be thinking, no, T-Shroom, not Coinbase. Well, I mean, take a look at this. Take a look at this one, Tim. This is the 4 hour here for Coinbase. Let me throw on a couple of these indicators. Yeah, so we got up into the reversal. This is making me feel a little better. We were up in the reversal channels, got into the second one there, and then hey, the channels do what they do best. They predicted a reversal. Coinbase has come back down. Now testing that lower end of the stop loss there from ALGO. I'm thinking I'm fine. I'm not going to probably hit that sell button on Coinbase until we get to the midline. If we start breaking down through that on the 4 hour, I might be getting a little sweaty. Out on the daily, I would sell before we get down to the midline here. Now, you might be like, but T-Shroom, I thought you thought they have deep convictions in crypto. I do. But Coinbase is it has nothing to do with decentralization at this point, right? Coinbase is a profit-seeking, fee-seeking entity. I think it's going to continue to do well as the price of as digital assets goes up and to the right. But ultimately, it's a company, right? So it's similar to like a mining company. Yeah, it has a lot to do with crypto. But if a mining company comes out and they've been lying to shareholders that they don't actually own any mining equipment at all, right? That's bad, right? And has nothing to do with Bitcoin. It has everything to do with something that we know is true, which is that humans are prone to lie. For their own gain. So I'm definitely not saying that that's going on at Coinbase at all. Like genuinely not even sarcastically suggesting that. I think they run a tight ship over there. But I think that they are getting a correction here, right? And so the stock price, something I'm considering, should I start to pare down on this? The other thing too, I really want to put a video out on this, is that there is a coin out there that I regret selling. And Tim, you've done a video on it recently, and that regret has grown. Now, I'm a huge proponent for not getting emotionally attached to any investment or any investment that you're not in, right? But I got to admit, I've been feeling some very strong feelings about this coin that I wish I had gotten. I wish I had stayed in. I had a decent bag of it, but I took profits on it, and man, it's one that I wish I'd stayed in. Do we see any good questions here in the chat, Tim?
Was it good old H-bar that you're talking about right there?
Now, Tim, you have guessed the exact coin correctly, and I have to put out a video now. Why I sold? It's the number one coin that I regret selling.
We do have a couple questions here, but gonna prioritize Rich Q giving us super chat. Thank you
Heck
so
yeah.
much. Teach Room, what year did you get into crypto? Thanks.
Well, that's a tricky question because I really got into crypto properly when I got hired over at Crypto
Question is,
Jeb.
when did crypto get into you?
Ooh, interestingly worded question there. But I look back at my Robinhood account, and I had been trading Bitcoin for a lot longer than I had been understanding Bitcoin. So my very first exposure to Bitcoin was actually I had a market buy. I thought it went back further than this, but a market buy all the way back in November 18th of 2021, and then I accumulated it and I sold. I sold all of it eventually. But I was trading it. I was in, I was out, I was in, I was out for Bitcoin. But then I started really taking it seriously when I got hired over at Crypto Jeb, and I know when that was because of the Bitcoin chart. Sadly, I bought the very top, not the very very tippity top. But I bought Bitcoin at the top because I was starting to understand it, and I was like, oh, this is undeniably valuable. At the time, the market had not, and this is a valuable lesson, the market had not yet started to say, okay, this is the top and we're going to start rounding off. The market was still saying Bitcoin to 100,000, right? Which happens. Folks are just like, this thing is going higher and they don't know when the top comes in. And we still don't know, right? So ultimately, I bought right around in here. I think it was down here because, I was waiting for a pullback, right? Classic. So right around in here, 57,000 is when I started to really accumulate Bitcoin pretty heavy. I think I also got into names like Ethereum and Litecoin. Litecoin no longer hold almost at all. And Ethereum I definitely have still holding on to. But I DCA'd all through here, and I can attest that I have a very nice entry now. Around 28,000 is my average entry for my Bitcoin. And that is actually better than MicroStrategy's, which is just under 30,000. So
yeah,
I'm not an early coiner, and I didn't buy the bottom of 15.7, but I did the old DCA and pray, and that worked out for me pretty well. So great question there, Rich Q, and thank you so much for that super chat. We really appreciate all the support from all the bros that is given. Any more great questions you're seeing, Tim?
Well, there's a couple. I'm going to start with this one, and we'll move backwards. This one will be a little faster. Gennaro Mena. Great question. So what does one get with the membership, if you don't mind me asking? Great question. Now, if you look at chat there, you're going to see some blue names. Those are our mods. We have the best mods in all of crypto.
Indeed.
And people can fight me on it, and I'll beat them when I'm not so sick. But those green names are all of our members. So first of all, you definitely get a spicy looking name, and it gives us, you pop out on the chart, right? So when we're looking for comments, we definitely look at our members first, and then those different badges tell us how long you've been in here. You're gonna get emojis in there. You get access to a special level of Discord with the trading group. We talk about trades. I'm discussing trades I'm going in and out of every single day. So I make sure that we're doing that. We will be bringing back, we have not done a members only stream here in a couple of weeks because there has been some transitions and stuff that both T-Shroom and I have been working on. So we are bringing membership streams back. We're just trying to find a time that A, works for me and T-Shroom, because if we're not there, there's no stream happening. But B, also works for the majority of you guys as well. You're also just supporting the channel to continue to grow the Investing Bros so we can reach more and more people. And again, I talked about it earlier. Our goal is to have still an educational community here. But I want to be a fun, engaging, collaborative community. There's no hate in this community. We love people. We love when people bring diverse opinions and we can debate them and discuss them. Ultimately, this is a place that we can all grow together as we all want to be wealthy. I put a tweet out earlier today, like, what is your idea of financial freedom? What does that look like to you? Every single person's freedom looks different, but I want to see all of us get there. And that's what the bros are all about. So when you're a member, you help be a part of growing that even more. There'll be cool perks in the future. We're just getting started still. A little over a year old channel. We're still getting started. Mm-hmm. Rich Q gave another super chat, said, Tim, you're looking like a Kelsey brother with that beard. Enjoy the channel, Investing Bros. I take that as a please. Why him? See, I was literally about to say, I take that as a compliment.
Oh, there's two of them?
How can there not be? They're brothers.
Oh gosh, I didn't know he had a
Can't be a
brother.
brother if
So
there's
Taylor Swift picked one. Oh, that's rough.
she
to
chose
be
the wrong one. Now, to be
That's
fair,
hilarious.
the other one was already married and is one of the coolest people I think that walks the planet. I no hate to Travis. Travis, do your thing, Mr. Pfizer. But Jason is like if someone compared me to Jason Kelsey, I would take that as a compliment. 10 out of the 7 days of the week. Yes.
So
that
these guys are come from the same womb.
and Jason is probably going to go down as the greatest center in NFL history of all time, or at least debatable. And then his brother Travis, of course, might go down as one of the greatest tight ends. I do take it as a compliment, Rich. Thank you so much. Love Jason Kelsey. Sad that he is retiring. Let's get to some good crypto questions here. And again, we're running long today, so stay on in here. We're not going to end right at the top of the hour here. Where did it go? There was 2 questions back to back that kind of they worked together. So I'm going to read them together. I think it's right here. Tantana, Montana. Ooh, Tantana, Montana. Great name. Do you think we go back to 38K? If so, before or after the halving? Good question. Sawtooth Hiker followed that up. Do we see the same 40% retrace, since this time around is different? Good thought. T-shirt, what do you, before I answer and give my opinion, because I've given this answer before, what are your thoughts?
Is this time different? Do we see the all-time high before the halving? Is that kind of the question here?
Do we go back to 38K? Is there a different level? Is it higher than that? Is it lower than that? And then 40%. So let's pretend 53 was the top. Like we talked about, 40% dip from Bitcoin would bring us back down to that $32,000 level. So how low do we go during this dip? Is this a very miniature dip, T-Shroom? Or is this a larger dip coming? Or do we rally from here, but then another dip of 40% or different comes on later? What are your thoughts?
Gotcha. Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate that. It's a good question. Yeah, I mean, when you look here, there was just so much market agreement for how many. This is a weekly chart for it looks like 8 weeks before then the market said, nah, Bitcoin's definitely valued much higher than 42,000. But I just don't see with the amount of buying that we're seeing, the fact that Bitcoin not only shot up to these levels here where we are now at 51, penetrating through a very big psychological price of 50, but now is trading sideways and actually finding a decent amount of support. That to me is telling me that there are buyers. There is a lot of demand for this asset. That can change, but right now, my bias is 100% bullish, right? So if something does change, black swan, NVIDIA super dumps, right? Risk assets turn into, risk off. Then I just don't see us getting much further than 42,000. Again, technically, there are a lot of arguments for why we should go lower from that. The chief among them being history. History has shown that there are historically big pullbacks, and we have not really seen one of those quite yet. We've seen corrections, we've seen tests lower, but we have not seen a big pullback like what we've seen in the past. So, if you're asking me, I like to mix in technical analysis with kind of psychological and fundamental analysis. I think right here, you had so much agreement that the market just had that Bitcoin should be around 42, 42.5, 41. I just don't see it getting back lower than where the market agreed just a month ago, right? That's kind of a good way to think about it. The other thing on the weekly, the Bollinger Band, really, by the time we got down into those levels, the Bollinger Band would confirm that as well, that's a nice support level. So can we go lower than that? 100%. In fact, if history is any guide, we should, and we will. But I am just thinking that we are in an unprecedented moment where this time is every time is different because it's a different market. But this time is different because of the freaking spot Bitcoin ETFs that have been passed that are just causing so much demand for this asset. It's literally unprecedented demand. More demand than gold ever had in its ETF debuts. More demand than the S&P had for its ETF debuts. And it's not by a little bit. It's not by like 3 or 10%. This is by I believe it's like 30x more demand than these other ETF debuts. So to me, I'm just like, again, that's why we started the show. My take was do not be very careful shorting this market, right? Only the most experienced among us should be really taking like swing short positions. Scalp short, sure, that's a little different, but a swing short is like, woo, man, you are you are running across the interstate bare naked if you're thinking you're going to be doing real well with some trades like that. I see Tim shaking his head.
Don't run across interstates bare naked.
Yeah.
At least have clothes on when you try to kill yourself. Why did I even say that? YouTube, don't block that out. Don't take us down. I
This-
love people, and please don't do that.
This stream is going straight to jail.
Here's what I'll say, T-Shroom.
Go ahead.
When I'm kind of echoing and thinking through, people might say like, "Oh, Tim, don't you believe we're going deeper?" Here's what I'll say. T-Shroom is 100% right when it comes to under the current market conditions, based off of where the fundamentals are going, where the news is going, where the orientation is going. If nothing bad happens, then there's no reason we should be dipping, I would say, probably any lower than 48, 46K, right? That's kind of levels where under current conditions, if nothing changes, 48, 46K, probably a good area to keep an eye on. Here is the problem, though. Things come out of left field all the time. If you go back to every single major dip in crypto, it's not like they were just, oh, we're going, and then out of nowhere we had a 40% dip and no one knew why. There's always a reason why something corrects, and that's where you get into the conspiracy theory side of like, are things kind of baked in? Is there manipulation happening to make things happen? That's why sometimes it is still good to look at technical analysis and understand what technical analysis is saying, because there are so many times that you could go and say, if you had just based off of news, you'd have thought the market was just going to continue to pump. But if you had watched the charts, you would have predicted a pullback. And sure enough, that pullback happens. Some sort of news story breaks to confirm it. What I'm looking at here, T-Shroom, share my chart here. We talked about this one earlier. Right now, bullish, there's no reason to fall, but the chart is giving us a couple reasons to fall. First of all, we've hit some major resistance. I talked about the 53K. I talked about this rising level of resistance right there. But I'm going to go back and continue to say this, guys. I'm open to this not happening. I have not put all of my eggs into this basket. I haven't taken profit of all my Bitcoin, and I'm waiting for 32K to get hit to re-put it in, right? But I'm also not going to abandon that prediction simply because it's not what the chart looks like right now. Again, historically, on Bitcoin and several other assets, I do not see a precedence. I do not see something happening often enough to say that this untapped resistance level will not get touched once again. And I want to remind you guys, I told you guys this a little bit ago as well. This is not, what I'm about to say is not about to say, oh, this means Tim's always right. No, Tim gets things right and then gives up on his own predictions because his mind gets swayed. But if you were to go back with me all the way back here, back in March of 2023, you can go back and watch the videos. I discussed a $50,000 Bitcoin coming very, very soon. In fact, it was on the episode I got the most slack. There was an episode, not here, it was actually on Paul Barron's channel, where I talked about a move back up to golden pocket, close to, if not at $50,000, right? People thought I was insane when I said this, right? Price went up. I held it. Price went up. I held this deep correction here in August of 2023. And I decided, based off of the news that was happening, the surrounding circumstances, I said to myself, got this one wrong. We're going to have to wait until after halving probably to go up to 50,000. We're not repeating back what happened in 2019, because that was a lot of what it was based off of, was repeating 2019's pre-halving bull market. I changed my opinion and gave up my prediction. So did Tim get $50,000 right? He did in March. He did not in August. But if I'd stuck with what the charts were saying rather than what the feelings of the momentum was, because we were still talking about ETFs here. I'll go back to my chart. Sorry, I know I'm saying a lot here, but ETFs were a thing. They were a conversation back here. They just weren't the dominating conversation. They have been the dominating conversation ever since here in October. Even to this day, ETF, the concept of the ETFs and the volume coming in is still the dominating conversation. But what happens if something comes in that trumps it as being the dominating conversation? And it is some sort of bearish news. And what I'm continuing to look at is the precedence of history where two different things happened. 2019, you had this former resistance level. We shattered through it. We pulled back down to that level going more than 40%. We actually go about 53. And of course, COVID took us lower. But this followed two historical principles that Bitcoin has. It A, corrected more than 40%, and B, came back down to touch untapped former resistance and turn it into support. This happened as well back here. I'm on the wrong chart. Got to go to a different chart here, get more history. So give me a second. This happened back here in 2016, when the same thing happens. First of all, resistance. We blast through it right here back in October 2015. And then what happens? Now, this one happened very quickly, but it happened 40% pullback to retest that untapped resistance. Then it also, that was a 40% pullback. So two different things, untapped resistance plus a 40% pullback pre-halving. You come back here. Now, those are the two most significant ones. Before that time, if I were to go all the way back to 2012, 40% pullbacks were a normal Tuesday, right? So that just happens all the time. But the two more, dare I say, mature markets did two things: retested untapped resistance and pulled back more than 40%. That's what I'm still sitting here saying. Is there a chance that we break history? Absolutely, there's a chance we break history. But there was a chance we broke history back here. And there was a chance we broke history back there. And there was a chance that we were going to ignore the technical analysis that says that this untapped resistance is a major, like, traders and experienced buyers still, despite all this bullishness, have their eyes fixed on 32K. It is a juicy buying level, not just because of the history of Bitcoin, but because of the history of how markets work. And remember, as cool as Bitcoin is, and as nice as Bitcoin is going to be for the future, it still is a asset being treated as financial gain. The principles that people have used to trade for hundreds of years still apply to Bitcoin. That's what technical analysis is all about. Is it perfect? No. But is it probable? Highly probable? Yes, it is. So for that reason, I'm not going to make the same mistake I made back in August and abandon the logical technical analysis. I'm going to continue to hold out that there is a decent chance that pullback happens. Now, let's get past the halving. If we're not down there before the halving, now I think I'm going to start having a different conversation saying, all right, this is where I think I see a historical difference. But until we actually have the happening in April, I'm not going to abandon the logical technical analysis explanation that 32,000 should be touched and tapped for a buy opportunity.
Yep. So that's how we're thinking about it. Tim, some coverage here of the NVIDIA situation. It looks to me, off some brief research, that we're not going to get that print from NVIDIA on its earnings until 4/20, blaze it. So we're going to just go ahead and cut the stream. But what I am seeing is that NVIDIA in after hours is up a decent amount. I mean, it's not up a lot, but it is up about 0.8% here live. Of course, by the time you're watching this, you're going to probably know whether it's live, whether it's a beat or a miss for NVIDIA. But this is something that we're going to continue to monitor, and it should be pretty big news tomorrow which way it goes. Again, if NVIDIA beats, it's continued risk on, right? If NVIDIA misses, there's a lot of implications to that. There's a lot of big bets on NVIDIA not missing that could potentially get unwound and cause a risk-off event. Again, I'm not expecting the markets, the S&P or Bitcoin, to see like a 10% correction as a result of this. But there could be some volatility. 3-5% would be somewhat kind of in the realm of what I'm expecting. So if you're going to trade that volatility, now I think that's probably the move, right? To bring anything out of what I'm saying, and the reason for us covering the NVIDIA situation is to trade the volatility, right? Other than that, if you're a hodler, again, you're in a nice structure of conviction, which Tim just gave a great kind of explanation about why you would be convicted. So I love it, guys. We're going to go ahead and cut it off, but Tim, I'll let you close us out.
Dude, thank you, T-Shroom, for helping out. Guys, that's all we have for you in today's show. Thank you so much for being here. I am hoping that I sleep well tonight, and I'll be back tomorrow. There's an outside chance I will not be putting out a video, though, tomorrow and not be on the live stream. So say a quick prayer for me if you believe in prayer. I believe heavily in it and would love your guys' support. With that said, we love each and every single last one of you. Thank you for choosing to spend an hour with the bros. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on your way out, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got the word. doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.